This is Channel 2 News, coverage you can count on.
Scattered thunderstorms have once again returned to our area tonight, along with the threat of flash flooding. Storm watch coverage tops Channel 2 News at 5 o'clock. Now, a flash flood watch is in effect for parts of western Nevada, really until later tonight. Good evening, everybody. I'm Wendy DeMonte.
I'm Kristen Remington. Thanks for being with us tonight. We begin with storm watch coverage once again. Chief Meteorologist Mike Alger is in the Weather Center. Mike, what other warnings should we know about tonight?
There are almost too many to talk about. You mentioned the flash flood watch. That is given out, and it's kind of a broad watch in an area where we could see some warnings. And indeed, we are seeing several. In fact, I don't know that I've seen so many active flash flood warnings in one small area as we're seeing right now. Even looking right now in the north end of the Washoe Valley here, we've got a flash flood warning basically on the north end of the Truckee Meadows up into the North Valley, Spanish Springs, and even pushing off further to the east. Let's take a look at it in detail here on the radar, because it's just about the only way we're going to be able to keep any of these straight here. Basically, any of the boxes that you see pop up, the red boxes, and we have to get a little bit closer to them before you can really see them, will tell you where those warnings are. Now, we're going to start down to the south and look at several here. Basically, in the Bridgeport area, you see several flash flood warnings there up along Highway 395. And then we're going to just kind of scroll up here to the north. We've got one there in the Gardnerville area, basically on the Ranchos. And they're also moving up here in the Johnson Lane area. And that is an area that is definitely very prone to flash flooding. We've got one just outside of Dayton there, and a second wave of thunderstorms actually moving through there. And this is the one here in the north end of the Reno region here, and also up through Spanish Springs and stretching out also over basically between us and Fernley. Now, anywhere there along Interstate 80, you could get some runoff coming down here from the north and producing some of those thunderstorms in that region here. I also want to take a look and kind of cut this thing in half, because some of these cells are very, very hefty indeed. We're going to use our X-Vision and kind of work our way in toward this a little bit. As we zoom in a little bit on some of these cells here, you can see very intense columns here. This is the one that's up there just to the north, maybe a little to the west of the Reno region. And you can see the core of it is going up to about 35,000 feet. Fairly active storm there. Several more up there in the 30 to 35,000 foot top level there. I want to come down a little bit further here to the south. I've got to slide my map down so you can see it. Some of these down to the south are also very, very powerful storms. You can see an intense core in each of them and very vertical profile in them. They're not all that wide, but they are pretty intense. That one right there goes up 20, 30, 40,000 feet here. And this cell right there is right there in the South Lake Tahoe area, just off there. So basically, any of these spots could see some flash flooding coming into the region, and it's real likely we're going to see some more here before things die out tonight. Now, that flash flood watch goes until 9 o'clock here tonight. They have not issued a flash flood watch for tomorrow, but I've got to believe the Weather Service is likely to do that. And we could see the same whole pattern repeat itself tomorrow, because the low that is bringing all this in is only going to get closer. Even though temperatures will drop off a little bit, we're going to still have a lot of dynamic and a lot of southerly flow. So watch for that to happen. I think another active day coming tomorrow. We'll tell you more with a complete forecast coming up in a few minutes.
A lot going on out there. Mike, thank you. And the city of Sparks is cleaning up once more after flash flooding went through the area for the second time in less than a week. The area hit hardest last night by the storm was the Pyramid Highway area near Los Altos Parkway. Landon Miller shows us how residents and business owners are cleaning up that mess.
This area of Chula Vista Drive was hit particularly hard, leaving many residents with shovels in hand, cleaning up the mess. Dave Davis has lived at this corner for 2 years.
Yeah, no, never seen anything quite like this.
Today, he's cleaning up his sidewalk. It's covered in a half foot of mud.
Put on quite a show last night. It was a lot of raging water, and there was a tire floating down the road.
He says considering how much water was pouring down his street last night, he and his neighbors are lucky, with the majority of the water and mud only impacting the street, the yard, and the sidewalk.
I cleaned the snow off of it, so I guess I should cake the mud off of it too.
It's not just the neighborhoods that were hit hard from the storm, but shops too inside the Sparks Galleria. Not only did parking lots turn into ponds, some shops experienced minor flooding. Scott McDonald, owner of Pacific Tanning, is spending his day clearing out his place of a half-inch of water.
There's standing water, mud, just up through about halfway through the building.
The walls will need to be inspected for water damage, he says, but all things considered, he says he's lucky too.
One of the maintenance people says the water was 30 inches at the back of the building, so as much as we got only, half an inch of water on the bottom of the building, it could have been worse.
He plans to reopen his shop by tomorrow.
I think at this point, number one priority is get it clean and get it back the way it should be.
Covering Stormwatch, Landon Miller, Channel 2 News.
Well, the flooding last night even forced temporary road closures in the Spanish Springs area. Today, the city of Sparks and the Nevada Department of Transportation were busy cleaning up and preparing for the next storm. Andy Guevara reports.
It's messy work, cleaning these overloaded drainage ditches.
We had rocks, debris, we had tires flowing out into the road, we had trees floating out into the subdivision coming out. Pretty much everybody's landscape art came out to the highway.
But with the threat of storms continuing, there's no time to waste. For the cleanup of Pyramid Highway, the Nevada Department of Transportation, or NDOT, had crews out starting at 8:30 last night. And the city of Sparks had maintenance teams at the intersection of Los Altos and Galleria.
We can mobilize our crews 24 hours a day if necessary.
Our main focus right now is to reestablish our drainage system.
These huge vacuum trucks are actually used every day during the summer by NDOT to maintain the culverts and drainage pipes and prepare for floods like we've been experiencing.
Use high pressure water to force the debris back out of the pipe, and then we got a suction hose onto it that sucks up the debris and puts it into the tank on the truck.
NDOT pays $11,000 per month to rent the trucks for about 4 months per year as part of their regular expenses. The city of Sparks says the cleanup costs so far have been minimal.
Certainly when we have to mobilize our crews after hours and keep them on call, there certainly could be some overtime expenses incurred.
Both the Department of Transportation and the city of Sparks would like to remind all of us to stay off the roads whenever a flash flood warning has been issued. Covering Stormwatch, Andy Guevara, Channel 2 News.
And the city of Sparks has established a sandbag station for residents concerned about flooding. You can make your own sandbags at the fire station on Disk Drive on the northeast corner of Disk and Vista. You must bring your own shovel. Also, Sparks crews will be working 12-hour shifts to deal with potential flooding. And whenever we get severe weather here in northern Nevada, please turn to Channel 2 News for Stormwatch continuing coverage.